everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro Division in the Community Cup hosted by Golf Clash the Game. Video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, visit golfclashtommy.com for more Golf Clash related content. You can get the text guys by becoming a subscriber on Patreon. Link to Patreon is in the description down below, and then you can get the best guides on the market for tournament, tour play, or maybe even book a training session or two. Last but not least, join our Discord link in the description down below. There you can interact in our different forums, which will be easier than the Facebook forums that we do have today. Look at the info box on the right side. You will see the information for every hole. There are listed the elevation for the drive, for the second shot, or just for the tee shot if we are only going to play one shot. Then you do have what type of ball I would suggest you to play. And then last but not least, what type of club I think is going to be a key club for that particular hole. In this playthrough for Pro, you're going to see drops that's going to make this a -16 guide. In the end, this is going to be a tournament where we can drop a lot of shots. Going into with a playthrough with -16 and with also some close ones makes me feel very comfortable, and that's something to definitely build on. Make sure you comment in the comment section below if you do have any questions, and let's freaking go to hole number 1. For hole number 1 here in Pro, we are going to play for the funnel from the rough. Sure, it is a little bit tricky because we need to be spot on with our elevation and our adjustment, but the reward will be massive because this funnel here, and a funnel means that, you know, you basically can move left and right and you will still have the ball guideline like being stuck on the green. I'm using here half a bar of backspin and 1 bar side spin to the right, half of the red ring outside the rough to be on the fairway. The thing that I do want you to do that doesn't show in the replay here is to start at the +2 yard mark with sniper 10, and with a sniper 9 you start at the +4 yard mark to get the correct distance. Then you adjust for maximum distance with a 25% over adjustment, and you're gonna see that ball going in more times than not. But really need to pay attention to the landing spot, use the same spin as explained, and also obviously hit perfect. There is a little danger with a bad great right, like a really bad or even a good great right, but in the end I think we need to gamble with that due to the opportunity being so good when going for the funnel here on hole number 1. For hole number 2, we are going to play with the big topper, and please don't focus on the fact that I have a big topper level 6. Use whatever big topper you have, so even if you have it in level 1, you use it. All but 1 top spin, and then you use as much left spin possible, and you play with the navigator or the quasar, doesn't matter, but I want you to play with a power 1 ball. Now we're going to adjust maximum distance with no elevation. So even though we aren't in maximum distance, we're still going to use the maximum distance as a club range and then adjust without elevation. Plan is to bounce on the fairway, into the rough, and then out on the fairway to the fringe or to the fairway to have a very simple eagle from here, because that's a wedge that we should not be missing. You might wonder, why don't I use max topspin? It's due to the tailwind, because the tailwind makes the ball carry longer, and therefore you're going to have to reduce the topspin, otherwise you will fly over the rough and into the bunker on the back side of the green. Very important knowledge, but this should be an eagle every single time. For hole number 3, we're going to use either the big topper or we are going to use another driver that gives us distance and topspin. The big topper for its topspin obviously, then we're going to play with a power 2 ball and aim being in maximum distance. We are going to adjust for a maximum distance with no elevation. Once we have adjusted, we're going to push up our target into max, and you're gonna see it here. First we adjust to 2.7 rings, and then we push up the target into max, and then we're going to take our shot. For those of you that do want to play with a power 3 ball and you want to play with an extra mile and you feel comfortable going very aggressive in this one, you can go full blast overpower, trying to gain as much distance as possible without bouncing before the rough, as you will actually make that ball to bounce over the rough. The thing to have in mind there when you go with overpower is if you hit a bad shot to the left or to the right, you will risk going into the rough, and that's why I'm leaving that outside here, as I do feel this is going to be a good opportunity nonetheless. Here I want you to play with the Guardian, and yes, with whatever level you have on the Guardian, but preferably, you know, playing with the Guardian level 5, level 6 or something like that. All but, you can see here, all but a click of backspin, and we're going to aim for just one green square to the left of the pin with the tip of the ball guideline there. And a little bit further up than what the pin is, because in the end we want the ball to roll back after we then hit the green. So here I do play with a minimum distance with a 10% over adjustment, and then we take our shot and hit perfect. The ball here, as you can notice, is gonna come up, and we just missed that one on the left hand side, being slightly over adjusted, but in the end I do feel that's going to give us a very nice opportunity for an albatross on this pretty tough par 5 here. But once again, to just add, you can play more aggressive with the drive, and in an ultimate world you will end up with a long iron towards the pin, which I might going to explore later out in the tournament. So check out the streams and we might gonna see a shot like that. But this Guardian approach feels super solid and will drop for albatross many times. For hole number 4, we are going to go for a rough bump, and here I want us to play with the red ring slightly outside the rough there, with 2.5 bar backspin and max left spin. Ball guideline through the hole, and you can see that not just slightly through with the red ring, we want half of the red ring outside there on the fairway. Then now for the adjustment, we're going to play maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. The thing to have in mind here, if we drop down into the sand, which will happen when we do have a decent wind to adjust for, then push up approximately half a ring to a ring, so you make sure that you don't fall too short. One thing that I would like us to change here is that I would like us to actually move our adjustment position so we have the ball guideline on the right side of the cup, and also remove a little backspin to be spot on. But in the end, we have an embryo to work with, and we are going to see this one getting very close, if not the drop. So katana ball, max plus 10, quarterback, and you give yourself a good chance on hole number 4. For hole number 5, we're going to get to the first of the holes that actually I feel is going to be kind of tricky. We can play over to the left and leave ourselves up for a long iron there from distance, or we can go right and leave ourselves up with a wood club from distance. But I'm going to play in the center here. I'm kind of debating first and foremost, should I go max overpower, but I don't really see us having the distance here. Using, in this case, as much topspin possible and as much right spin possible is what I would like you to do. Have in mind that the extra mile level 8 has a couple of yards more distance than what you do have on extra mile level 7 and below. So that's going to obviously make the overpower being a bit different. We're not going to use much overpower, just a tiny little bit. Adjust maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, push up to max. Then we're going to let the ball to bounce on the fairway and into the center here. And the reason I want to go center is because I do feel that that is a way that many players are going to feel comfortable with, as going on the left hand side is going to be a little bit trickier. But have in mind, you know, you choose whatever side you want to play on, because here the second shot, now when they have changed, so instead of having rough there by the green, we do have a bunch of sand instead. We have to play just there on the left side. And even though we're going to get fairly close here, I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be the way to play generally. So I'm kind of debating left side or right side. Like left side or right side. In the end, it does come down to what you feel comfortable with. Because the play is going to be fairly much the same. A little bit overpower going over to the left. A little bit overpower going in the center. And then the second shot is going to be with a long iron. The thing that I would like you to do though is to play with a long iron that gives you at least 4 bars of backspin. Otherwise you're going to struggle, as you do need backspin on this tricky green. Tough par 4 here, I would say, for the green and point. And a birdie, it's not something that I would be disappointed with. I see more towards spending the time on the other holes where I see the opportunity being much, much better. In the end, you know, as I said, tough par 4. Take the birdie, an eagle, big bonus. For hole number 6, we're going to find ourselves with a good position for the rough bump. But first, we're going to start with the drive. 4.5 bar topspin and max side spin to the right. You can see that I start in plus 5 yard mark. The reason I started the plus 5 yard mark is due to the extra mile 8 having a little bit more yardage than the other extra mile. So trying to compensate for that by backing up a little bit. But in the end, try to get your extra mile into max distance position. I think that would be the best way to say it. And then in the end we're going to adjust for maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. Use a little bit of curl to the right, not much, you can see there in the video, and you're going to get yourself into a nice distance, which is going to be 354 yard mark. From the 354 yard mark, I would like us to play medium distance. Medium distance with a 20% over adjustment. With a 20% under adjustment because we're playing uphill. You see I'm using 4.5 bar side spin right, and I'm using 1.1 backspin. The thing that we do need to have in mind here though, and I have tried this with a different elevation as well, and I still miss right. We need to offset being approximately 1 green square to the left of the pin when we take this shot. So use the green squares, offset to the left, so then we're going to go directly at the hole. So once again, to just add that, I've tried with different elevation. I've tried minus 15, minus 10, and we still miss to the right side. So therefore, we're going to offset. That's going to be the thing that we're going to do. And the ball is then going to be, you know, very close, if not in, for an albatross. Good attempt. And here again, we're playing with a power 1 ball. Save your power 3 balls and any other ball. You do not get an advantage by going with a different ball. In my opinion, it's still going to be a very good chance making an albatross from distance. For hole number 7, you're going to see 2 types of approaches, one normal and one rough bump. We start with the normal one, or like normal one, where we bounce on the fairway. Try to find the firm spot that you do have there on the fairway, so you don't find yourself having like a spot where you see the ball guideline being pushed left and pushed right. The big tip here would be to start adding spin and then finding the position. So we are aiming at least very close to being right at the pin. I want us to focus on getting the ball guideline slightly right of the pin here, as the wind coming right to left. Using, in this case, 3.5 bar backspin, and I want us to add just a tiny bit more. You know, speed-wise, this is good, but you know, a 3.8 backspin, I think would have been a little bit better, and then we need a little bit more side spin to the right. Second attempt is going to be with a rough bump. And this rough bump is glitchy, ladies and gentlemen, so please have that in mind. With glitchy, I mean that the ball guideline does lie to you. Sometimes you see the ball guideline bleeding like this, sometimes you're gonna see the ball guideline rolling over the green. And this is going to only be a way for you to play if you feel that this is a shot that has been worked for you before. I want to show you this, that it is there as the tiny alternative, and the thing that we do is max side spin right, 2.5 bar top spin, and then a slight amount of underpower to compensate for the elevation difference that we do have, you know, going from a lower point to a higher point. We bounce and we roll, and we're getting this one very close. So with a perfect ball, you're gonna see yourself being very close, if not getting it in the hole, but you do risk rolling over the green into the back rough, and then you're going to struggle saving the birdie. So I would personally go for the safe route. I like where we bounce on the fairway, because the worst thing that could happen is that we honestly miss the pin and get a birdie, but obviously the hole-in-one chance will be no, not slight, but will be lower, you know. So have that in mind. But hole 7, the toughest of the par 3s, and also in my opinion the toughest hole that we do have in Pro Division. For hole number 8, we're going to go for green. You know, look at the wind. We do have the wind to go for it. The thing that I do here is to actually use 4.5 bar topspin, max right spin, and using a power 3 ball. The reason I do that is to actually show people that do have lower level drivers, like even down to XMI level 5, that you can actually get very close to the green by using this type of setup. But if you would go with an ultimate setup, you would be using a driver with more topspin, like 6 bars, like the XMI level 8 plus, or maybe a Thor's hammer in a decent level. You do have an Apocalypse as well, where you can get a decent amount of topspin also. Last but not least, you can play with a Berserker ball. I got a lot of feedback asking for not using the Berserker approach as the main approach. And that is what I'm doing, and in this case especially. You can go with a power 3 ball, but it's going to be a hell of a lot easier if you play with a Berserker ball or any other ball that has more power than power 3. So obviously if you do have some balls that you have invested in, or you maybe have won through the golden shot, I would strongly advise you to use it. But as you can see in the video, you can manage to do so with a power 3 ball. One thing to have in mind as well is, like, when you play with a power 3 ball, we go max overpower, because we do need all the distance we can get. But if you play with a power 5 ball, you might consider reducing the overpower just a bit, because it's going to be hard for you to get... it's going to be easy for you then to roll too far if we're using max overpower, power 5 ball, and even use more topspin. So what should you do then if you don't have the exact same setup here? Use the thing that you feel comfortable with. Use rather more topspin and a power ball and less overpower. That would be the best type of thing. And if you find something that works, stick with it. Because this is a must eagle, and that's the only thing that we are going to look for. Getting the eagle and then run to hole number 9 and try to get the albatross there. So in the end, we have a wedge, and we're never gonna miss this one. A nice little boom on hole number 8. For hole number 9, big topper, Berserker ball. That's going to be the setup, max top, and then we're going to go without any side spin. So max top spin is the thing that we're gonna go with. Have in mind that you don't have to have a big topper level 6 to play this shot. It's enough to play with a big topper level 1. Obviously, playing with a lower level big topper, you need more overpower because you have less distance. Berserker ball, it's awesome. It gives you power 5 and also gives you a decent wind. Adjust maximum distance plus 10, push up your target to max, and use somewhere between 50 to 75% of overpower. The thing that you want to do is to bounce on the fairway and then get the ball as far down the other fairway possible, with the possibility of actually getting that ball to green. And that obviously is going to be massive if you do that. But even if you go short, you're going to have almost a direct tailwind and adjusting for the albatross. And this albatross is going to be very makeable. So the drive is your focus. Then in the end, if you end up with a wedge or with a short iron, doesn't really matter, because you're going to then have a very nice chance for an albatross. If you do have a superior driver like an Apocalypse level 6 plus or a Thor's hammer level 6 plus, I would recommend to use any of those instead of the big topper. But as that is less common in Pro Division, then I wanted to show the big topper and a play that works for whatever, and I say it again, whatever level you have of the big topper. So there we do have it. Get in and get that albatross. Thank you so much for watching this playthrough for Pro Division with the tournament win in the Community Cup. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and make sure you go and join our Discord and post whatever question you might have there. Get your help, interact with fellow players. Also, comment in the comment section below if you do have any questions. Get the guides on patreon.com/golfclashtommy, and there you get the best guides on the market to crush the Community Cup. In the end, thank you so much for watching and good luck in the Community Cup.